Hello everyone, my name is Hector Alejandro Rico Montiel, or Alex, and this is my digital presentation for Student Development Theory Philosophy for our 522 class. And now, let me tell you a little bit about myself. This is me. I was born in the state of Federal, Mexico, and from there I moved to Michigan to my undergrad at Baker College of Owasso, where I first encountered housing and completely fell in love. My experience with student affairs helped me come to terms with a lot of my identities and made me want to help others to have an amazing experience like mine and grow into the best versions of themselves while I come. So what are my core values as an educator? I am glad you asked. My core values as an educator are being able to remain neutral and see the gray area instead of favoring one side of the conflict, to create a safe space for those students who do not have a place on campus where they feel free to be themselves, and to be a voice for those who do not have a voice or are too scared or not ready to stand up for themselves. Thanks to my constructivist lens, I am able not just to hear what students are saying, but actually listen to them and handle their truth, helping students make the most out of their college experience by fostering the students' growth through involvement and leadership opportunities. Finally, being a role model for students who could identify with some of my identities and breaking stereotypes, allowing them to feel comfortable with themselves. What is the importance of student development theory? It allows me to be able to help underrepresented populations to have a voice and succeed to educate other students about their identities. It helps me approach students on how to understand people different from themselves. Finally, it helps me develop leaders and growth in my community, making college a true opportunity for evolution into a better one. Student development theory influenced how I think about my role as a student affairs educator, because before learning about the theories, I had never really given my interactions with students much thought. Now I am a lot more conscious about different obstacles students could be facing. For example, Kimberly Crenshaw intersectionality theory was a huge game changer for me, as it helped me not only self-identify but to understand my students better. One of the developmental theories that has been particularly influential to me was Dr. Crenshaw's theory of intersectionality. I spoke about it before, but it helped me understand why I have not felt as part of different communities whom I share an identity with, and how sometimes identities conflict with one another. Not only that, but the lack of a binary on different identities is beyond important and something I had never considered, particularly in gender, because in Spanish, which I grew up speaking, there is no such thing as non-gender pronouns, for example. Baxter McGolda's self-authorship is incredibly important because it's a way for people to define who they are and be able to talk about their own experiences and taking ownerships for their own identities and their role in exploring them by creating their own narrative. As a person of color, critical race theory was hugely important to me, as it helped me make more sense of why certain things happen to people of color from a legal standpoint, and to see how I can make a difference working with these populations, which is a huge passion of mine. I plan to use student development theory to enhance my work as a student affairs educator by acknowledging the intersectionality and the differences within my students, being able to advocate for each and every single one of them by using my constructivist lens to listen to each of their experiences and learning from their own truths. Working in housing, I am able to influence my philosophy into the work I do on a day-to-day basis. I interact with students all the time, whether they're my CA staff, other student workers, or residents of my tower. I am a hall director, which means I have to be a role model at all times, and at the same time, I have to find a balance between being supportive of their own truths and to enforce the policies that our institution expects me to. When having conversations with my staff and my residents, the theories listed above allow me to really give an individualized treatment to each of the students I come in contact with. And that way, I can help each of them grow into their best selves as well as to make the most out of their college experience and to achieve their collegiate goals. I could implement my philosophy into practice by asking questions and being open-minded to listen to my students' points of view, by advocating for those who don't have a voice and continuing to be an ally to those who need one, through not only acknowledging the intersectionality of my students and staff, but by teaching them about it, I hope to create a much more tight-knit community and better understanding to it. Likewise, continuing to give leadership opportunities to residents who are interested in them, mentoring students to grow and achieve their college goals by listening to their objectives and offering support in every which way I can. Finally, by encouraging my staff to reach out to residents who could be isolated and to program for those marginalized populations or those who do not have a safe space yet, teaching my staff through role modeling about how to achieve their goals with a positive attitude and a high work ethic, as well as to spearhead a community where no one is marginalized.
Created using Powtoon.